Also ich wusste, dass ich keine weiteren Fähigkeiten habe, das wusste ich schon. Okay, really want to separate animals into different spaces. What if I could prove your desperation to separate us onto different spaces was beyond reasonable? Prove that if the ability really was what you said it was, you'd have got no good excuse in acting the way you did. Seeing as I haven't once acted to separate us, I'd be curious at how you would go about doing that. Please proceed. It really is a difficult thing. Having us land on 11 different spaces? Especially since we were working as a group for so long. You barely did it when there were 7 of us active. You had no chance when there were 11 of us. Mouse, you're not about to say what I think you are you? Damn right I am. Snake, I'm accusing you of the origami cat killings. And I believe your motive was to separate the rest of us onto separate squares by force if needed. Furthermore, the reason you needed to do this was because your ability allowed you to instantly get to the finish line if we were all separated. And you wanted to get to the finish line before us because you have the ambitious personality type. For real? No way. There's no way that's true, right? Mouse, you're saying this is the asshole behind all those killings? That's exactly what I'm saying. Oh my. Mouse, I'm afraid I may have indulged your delusion a bit too long. I know you're researching for neat answers to difficult problems, but you can't really believe I murdered those 3 people, do you? I don't. I believe you murdered those 4 people. Well then, I suppose I have no choice but to listen to you as you try to prove it. Frankly, I'd be impressed if you even managed to tell a story that halfway made sense. But I am intrigued as to what you'll try. So go on ahead then. Mouse, are you sure about this? Trust me, I'm certain. I guess that is how I started suspecting you to be the killer in the first place. Okay, ich bleibe mal kurz vorsichtshalber. Alex taught me to think about who would commit these murders in this way. And when I started thinking about it, I realized something about these murders. There was an awful beauty in these murders. What? The bodies were all unmarked, killed without much injury, killed almost instantly. Each time a body was found, there would be an origami cat nearby, and each time it was found in some bizarre state. I can almost picture it now. In a demonic school, the cat moved like mist and peacefully killed us in impossible ways. Wouldn't you say there's something poetic in these murders? Poetic? I don't get what you're referring to. Murder is murder. There's nothing beautiful to be found in it. Perhaps, but think of it this way. Even if you dislike poetry, you'd rather read good poetry than bad, no? You're right, Snake. That what I'm saying is ridiculous. But deep down you agree with what I've been saying, don't you? I find it preposterous, Leap, to suspect me over something like that. The murders were all bloodless simply because messy murders would leave more evidence. The locked room setups were meant to soothe out and put us in a state of paranoia where we couldn't think straight. Those were likely all motivations as well, but this wasn't the only way to solve those problems. At your core, Snake, you're an idealist. If you had to kill some part of your subconscious, wanted it to be a seemingly elegant method. Unharmed bodies, unsolvable mysteries, a calm and methodical battle of wits, no vicious and reprehensible murder. If Horse were to kill us all, he'd start swinging a knife without restraint. If Bunny wanted to kill us, he'd grab a pistol and ambush us one by one. If Rooster wanted to kill us, he'd hit someone over the head with a bat and run. But if you want to kill us, you'd use poison and trickery. Plus, you're obviously the only one who can fault an origami cat. As I've told you, I do not possess such skills. I respectfully disagree. Do you have anything to substance in your accusations? Theorize about modest all you want, but the fact of the matter is, these murders were, as you called them, bizarre impossible situations. Take Sheep's death, for instance. How on earth could I do something like that? You all saw the room. It was impossible to enter unless you had a key. One key was with Tiger at all times, the other's inside the room. This crime is impossible for me to commit. And with that, your accusations crumbles. Impossible, you say? That may be the case if everything was as we believed it to be. However, we made one false assumption. Oh, We thought she was dead before you and Dragon came across her body laying limp in the room. Of course we think that.
Of course you would. It's correct.
No, it's not. She wasn't killed until after Dragon left the room.
Mouse, that's impossible. Why would she be lying like that if she wasn't dead?
And even if she was alive, how does that change anything? Here's how it happened. She was a very suggestible girl. Snake is a very convincing man. A number of scenarios could have taken place, but let's say Snake approached Sheep, claiming he was concerned about Tiger having the key. Snake sadly questioned if she could be trusted. Sheep advocated for Tiger, so Snake proposed they put it to the test. She was to go in the room and pretend to be dead. Snake would bring in someone and they'd see the body together. Snake would then tell the other person to get the key from Tiger. If Tiger really just gave the key to this other person without questioning, she would be deemed too gullible to keep the key. However, if she went along with the other person, then she would be fine. An extreme way of testing her, to be sure, but Snake is quite persuasive, and she was easily pushed around. So Sheep goes along with the plan, and Snake brings Dragon into the room. He makes sure Dragon checks both the chain and the window. After Dragon runs away, Snake used the speaker to tell Sheep to unlock the door and come back out. After all, they wouldn't want to scare the others for too long, so when they got back they needed to see Sheep alive and well. Sheep complied and unlocked the chain. However, earlier, when the two were preparing the test, Snake pocketed the poison. As soon as Snake got the chance, he sunk his poisoned fangs into Sheep and pushed her back down to where she lay before. Snake relocked the chain and dropped the key in Sheep's pocket. Then he unlocked the window and returns to the intermediate room through there. He quickly shuts the window and acts casual. We wondered right after that. He doesn't have that much time, so the timing of all this is likely quite tight. Dragon insists Tiger quickly unlock the chain, and everybody bursts into the room. Dragon in the front, Tiger myself behind her, and you in the rear. As we all panic over Sheep's death, you quickly and subtly relock the window from the inside. And with that, an impossible murder has occurred.
Whoa! Mouse, that was incredible! Yes, indeed, a truly logical explanation you have provided. I must commend you. I was dubious of how you go about it, but you pulled it off. You have successfully streamed together a scenario in which I could have killed Sheep. Spectacularly done. I say with all sincerity that was a most impressive effort. However, I'm afraid to say it simply isn't true. While I grant you that this is a completely possible scenario, I still must ask you provide any evidence towards your claim.
Evidence? How else could you explain murder?
How else? Why, I could think of a number of ways. Perhaps Tiger was the murderer. She might not have a clear motive, but killers rarely do. Or perhaps Dragon. Yes, there was an origami cat by her crime scene, but perhaps she had made in advance, so as she prepared to kill someone. But then maybe the tables were turned on her, and the killer used the previously prepared calling card against her. Ha! That would explain why there was no cat near Tiger, yes? Or perhaps Brian decided to interfere with the game and commit some murders himself. There's no rule against it. Maybe Bunny lied and there were 3 keys to the chain. Perhaps the poison wasn't actually the instant acting one stolen, but a slower acting chemical combination oh god. Coded in the science lab, and she blocked the chain and said and died all on her own. We can all make up story, Mouse, but that won't make them true.
Fine, let's move on then. We discussed how the second murder took place. Your killing intent slithered through the wire to the door into Doc's hand. You tried to divert suspicion by solving it with me, but you knew that such a simple method would be cracked easily. You even pretended to comfort me while avoiding the circle of accusations the others were making at each other.
Are all my actions spinning or not? Somehow devilish in your world, Mouse?
No, we can look at Dragon's death.
And again we reach an impossible scenario. I am eager to see how you write me the killer here.
It's really pretty simple. There was really only one answer to this mystery all along.
Ah. Ich habe Angst. Die Sache, wie? Er konnte nicht entkommen daraus, soweit ich weiß. The Tower of Books didn't make it a locked room. Aber das aufzustehen ist so anstrengend gewesen. Und ich meine, You stacked the tower from inside the room.
That would be the presumption, yes.
Then you hid inside the room and waited for someone to discover the body. This sort of thing is usually a risky gamble, but with everyone so scattered around, it actually wasn't much of a dangerous play at all.
I hid inside the room? Forgive me if I'm wrong, but did you not look around the place when you entered?
That I did.
And you didn't see anyone, right?
I did not.
Then where on earth could I have hidden? There aren't many places to hide.
There aren't, but there was one place. The closet.
The closet?
Mouse. All the closets in the schools have been locked. Maybe Snake found the key to the closet somewhere.
Is that what you believe, Mouse?
No, I doubt there's anything like that around. I'm pretty sure those closets were never intended to have anything to do with the game. They were just locked with keys that teachers would have. Which is why Snake should have been able to hide there.
Come again?
Don't play dumb with me. You're actually a teacher at the school, aren't you?
Goodness! Now this is certainly an interesting accusation.
I do believe I've said this before, but I'm
an artist.
You might also be that. But you're definitely a teacher here.
And how did you come to this conclusion?
Earlier, when we talked about the scene Drang was dead at, you called it Mr. Golliday's classroom. An odd way of referring to it, wouldn't you say?
I'd sooner call it knackered one.
How would you know whose classroom it was?
As I said then, it was written on the whiteboard.
But why would you remember that when in a room with a murder victim?
My memory isn't quite adequate, but it's close.
Even still, that's not how you refer to this room. If you had no idea who Mr. Golliday's was. No one else called it that. They all said the classroom Drang died in, like normal people.
I will consider my speech a bit more eloquent than normal people's.
That's not all the evidence I have. You recognize Brian due to his butterfly tattoo, right?
Yes, I believe Monkey did as well.
It makes sense why Monkey will recognize it. She's his therapist. What doesn't make sense is why you will recognize it. By your own admission, you had no connection to this case. You were just some random witness. So how would you know immediately that the son of a man who was executed based on your testimony years ago had a butterfly tattoo there? Did you not recognize
the artistry in the tattoo?
It was actually done by a friend of mine.
When she was showing off some of her own art, I thought I recognized the boyo who got the butterfly tattoo. Out of curiosity, I asked about him and realized who he was. That's a fairly notable memory, and hence why I could identify him so quickly.
What a lovely story. Why did none of this come out when we first talked about it?
Why would it? No one asked, and I hardly thought it a relevant contribution to the discussion at the time.
It is not because you had him as a student. Could the teacher-student relationship have more to do with why you were chosen than your prior testimony?
There are plenty of people here for seemingly weak reasons. Are they all part of the teaching staff too?
There's more. Throughout the day there's been plenty of moments where you've been more familiar with the school than you should have been.
Again, all hearsay.
You're a teacher, and you have a master key to the closets. After setting up those books, you slunk away to a hiding spot and waited for more prey.
Suppose for a second you are correct. Then how do you explain Tiger's murder? Will you blame that on me too?
Damn right I will. Admittedly, changing up your pattern did throw you off a bit. But it's just it, isn't it? A change in the pattern. What happened? Were you out of ideas for locked room mysteries? Or did you just want to shake things up to confuse people?
I believe those are the questions you are supposed to be answering now. Here's another one to ponder. How on earth did I manage to kill Tiger? Certainly such a task is beyond my capabilities, wouldn't you think?
Tiger's strong, but she's not immortal. You were able to easily strangle her by using one simple thing. tablet to crime scene. The crime scene? Okay, the poison macht keinen Sinn, würde ich sagen. The crime scene. Das Klassenzimmer. The tablet. You took advantage of this crime scene to strangle her.
The crime scene, you say? This is certainly a new one.
It's obvious that she was strangled with a wire. Perhaps one found in an art classroom used for making sculptures.
Perhaps.
But instead of just wrapping it around Tiger's neck, you formed a noose with that wire. You held the neck of the noose in your hand and dropped the rest of it down through one of the railings at the top floor of the stairwell. When Tiger walked by, you distracted her somehow, maybe made her turn around. All you had to do was get the noose around her neck, and it was her curtains.
You think I had the strength to strangle her while she fought back? How highly of you think of me?
You didn't have the strength, you had the weight. As soon as the noose was around her neck, you jumped over the railing and gripped onto the wire. Your weight suddenly slammed Tiger's neck to the ground, and your entire weight pulled against her throat as her head leaned against the railing. She could probably lift your head weight, but at that time, at that angle, and having it happen so suddenly, there was nothing she could do to fight back. Like a cobra, you roped your headway around her neck and strangled tightly. You were able to choke out someone who was 3 times stronger than you and 4 times the fighter.
What lovely creativity on display. Truly, Mouse, if you were to murder us all, I would never be able to catch you. But here's the moment of truth. Did your words convince anyone other than yourself? Well, let's find out. How are the people? Do you think your story is credible?
There are some weird parts here and there, but everything adds up. I don't know how else that could have happened.
I was convinced as soon as you accused him of being a teacher here. I too had thought it strange how he referred to certain things. Now I have an explanation.
I could have been a killer from the start. Ich auch! How could a creep like this not be a murderer?
Yeah, it's definitely the snake. Good job catching this guy, Mouse.
Personally, I am not fully convinced. Such an accusation won't stand up in court. However, were it a severe case, I would rule in your favor. In other words, Snake, I'm siding with her on this one.
I see. So there you have it.
Snake stood there with his eyes closed for a few moments. Then he began to pace the floor.
Are you going to say something?
He stayed silent for a few beats more, and then spoke in just as calm a tone as ever.
I was surprised when I realized Brian had chosen me for his game. I wasn't surprised when I realized Brian had made the game. This is very much his style. Overly dramatic, mechanically complex, artfully violent, that all checks out. But I was a little offended that he thought me worthy of this twisted revenge game. Even more so when I saw that my personality was ambitious.
So I was right.
Why were you offended?
I thought if you were his teacher, didn't Brian show signs of hating you in class?
At first, certainly. In fact, he confronted me about it quite early on. He accused me of horrible stuff, of fabricating testimony, of being an agent of evil. But I calmly explained to him that I only said what I had seen. Everything in my testimony was supported by numerous other people, and the only way I could be lying is if a number of others were in on it. From there he seemed to soften his view on me, even more so when I said I agreed that his father might have been innocent.
You think that?
I certainly entertained the possibility. I'll be the first to admit that chances are slight, but there's certain things never set right with me. For instance, I also saw Mr. Morris leaving the scene, and unlike Tiger's testimony, I would not describe his expression as particularly angry or scared, confused if anything. Then again, I was further away from him than Tiger, so maybe I didn't get as good a look. So I entertained Brian's theories and got to know the boy. I would have described our relationship as rather good. Hence, I was slightly offended after realizing what had happened.
Snake took a few more steps.
In case it isn't clear, Mouse was largely right in her deductions. I tried to make the murders perfectly orderly, But of course, things didn't all go to plan. Nothing does in life. I thought I had learned that lesson long ago. Before I was in the military, when I was starting out as an artist, I was obsessed with the idea of perfect art.
Oh Gott. Seine Stimme!
I focused on being as fully in control of my brushstrokes as possible. I draw out pieces with the slightest imperfection. So when I wound up in the military due to various circumstances, for a while things made sense to me there. It was an incredibly orderly environment. Everything was where it needed to be. Everything unlike the chaos of the battlefield. Entirely unlike the chaos of the battlefield. It was there I learned that as much control that you might think you have, you can't control everything. In time, everything falls to chaos. I adopted that philosophy into my art. Even the piece I ended up giving to Bowen, that sculpture was made up of broken pieces for my past failed projects. And teaching as well, I was a strict teacher to those who saw that, and a relaxed teacher to the rest. I knew that enforcing order where it wasn't, one that was a fruitless task.
What the hell are you talking about? I thought we were on why you murdered all those people.
Ah, yes. I suppose I did get a bit off track there. As could be expected, my parting thoughts are a bit rambly. But as for why I chose to prioritize my life over 10 of yours, well, this will ring a hollow justification, and in many senses it is. I've not nearly the evidence backing my belief that should be required. Simply put, I could not trust you all.
Trust us?
I didn't trust that even without my interference, there wouldn't be a villain who would not kill the rest of you, but go on to kill more.
How could you think that? Who would do something that horrible? Instead of answering my question, Snake took a few more steps and ended up near the chess table once more. He took a move, then clicked his tongue.
I see it now. Incredible. Made a 9, no, 10. To have decided the game so long ago, Black truly is wondrous.
Hey, stop dodging your questions. Why didn't you trust us?
I didn't trust you for one simple reason. For all the games he likes to play, I happen to know that Brian doesn't play a lick of chess.
What? What does that have to do with anything?
Where would the fun be if I just told you everything? If you figured me out, surely a puzzle is minor is no match to you.
With that, Snake tossed 3 tokens on the floor.
Minor trinkets. One is the one you gave me earlier. I found another myself doing the searching. Kept it to myself for obvious reasons. The other belonged to Tiger. I think she had just found one before I got to her first. Lucky me. This should bring your count up to 9. Although I guess the 7 we started with will be more than enough without me.
Without you?
Oh, Mouse. I intend to take a graceful leave. I very much doubt history will remember me with much honor, but I wish to at least have an honorable death.
From his pocket, Snake pulled out an ornate golden knife.
That knife?
I found it in Dog's boot when I went back to look at the body. Thought it might be useful. And with this, Brian will not have murdered a single person. A small grace, but a grace nonetheless.
Hey, hold on! You don't have to do this!
Oh, but I do! Not for any moral reason, but because the alternative is to be executed. If you wish to do me any favors, Mouse, try and spin the story you tell the world to have some mercy on me. I know in your eye I have no good reason to deserve it, however. I am more sure than ever that if I had not done something, we have ended in an even worse spot. So let's end things in a light note, shall we? Plaudit, actes fabula!
With a last cry, Snake slashed his own throat and his finger swiped with a knife, sending blood splattering everywhere. But it wasn't a beautiful death. It was a fast or painless one. I heard him slowly sputter out, spitting blood on the floor, spazzing for far longer than he had intended to. His death was ugly as all deaths are. Mouse
Have you inputted your action?
Yeah, I did at the start of the round.
Okay, just checking.
It was round 12. Using the trinkets, we were on track for everyone surviving to cross the finish line together. With Snake gone, we had no problem forming a sense of unity once again. Only concern was the person with the hateful personality. However, after checking the tablets, we discovered that the person with that personality was actually one of Snake's victims. Everyone with a special win condition was gone. We could freely work together. It didn't take much maneuvering to get everyone back together. And on the last turn, we could all make it to the finish line. It was fine. We'd all make it alive. No, that was right. Because 5 of us were dead.
So, are you okay?
Do I look okay?
You know, you saved us with that whole snake thing. There's nothing to feel bad about.
I know, but I don't feel good about him killing himself like that.
Why? He was this remorseless serial killer who put himself above others.
I don't know about remorseless. I think he really felt bad. He just wasn't good at expressing it.
Okay, fine. Remorseful. Still doesn't make it right.
I know that. But I don't know if he's a bad person because of all that. It's not like he'd ever normally kill someone. He's as much of a victim of the stupid game as anyone else.
Huh, perhaps. But I would mourn those he killed and not himself.
Of course I feel shitty about the victims. Sheep, tiger, dog, dragon. Not one of them deserves to die.
Then why are you focused on Snake?
I'm not. It's just... I still don't get why he did it.
He made up some justification so you wouldn't feel bad about the fact that he killed people to survive. It's not some grand mystery.
But what was he saying about chess?
Does it matter?
I guess you're right. There wasn't much to think about. We had won. This was our happy ending. 112 eventually came to a close, and everyone alive across the finish line. Our collars came off, and we escaped the school. In the end, myself, ox, bunny, horse, rooster, monkey, and pig escaped alive. 7 of spades. If nothing is found in the first 3 rounds but weapons and trinkets, Snake will be assigned to a role that forces him to act. If he's given a good opportunity, he will begin to take measures against the group by murdering them one at a time. Someone smart like Mouse may eventually catch him and lead the group to get out safely, but only after a number of participants are dead. There are certainly far worse outcomes, but this path is a bit too unpredictable and deadly. Surely Mouse can make better decisions than this, right?
Nope! Anscheinend nicht. Eine fehlt mir noch, ja, okay.
Oh boy, das war ein langer Part. Ich werde wahrscheinlich 2 Parts draus machen, von daher. Ich danke euch fürs Zugucken. Im nächsten Part werden wir dann die letzte mögliche Karte finden. Und ich glaube, ich habe eine Idee, warum er das mit Chess erwähnt hat. Er meinte ja irgendwie, oh, er war nie ein großer Fan von Schach. Und er meinte vorher noch sowas wie, der Mann, der das aufgebaut haben muss ziemlich gut in Schach sein, weil er ein Spiel nachkreiert hat, das so und so abgelaufen sein muss. Das heißt, Brian hätte nicht in der Lage sein dürfen, das aufzubauen, weil er nicht schlau genug dafür war, um Schach so aufzubauen. Das heißt, vielleicht ist Brian nicht der einzige Strippenzieher hier. Oder sogar der Strippenzieher an sich. Ich glaube, darauf wollte Snake hinaus. Aber das ist nur eine Theorie. Eine Zodiac-Theory, nein. Lasst aber gerne mal eure Ideen da, wer glaubt, wer es sein könnte. Und ob ich mit meiner Theorie vielleicht recht liege, weil ich glaube nicht, dass Brian, der nicht was von Schach versteht, ein Schachspiel aufbauen kann, das eine wie Snake nachvollziehen kann, in korrekter Weise. Ich glaube es nicht. Aber wer weiß. Ich beende den Part hier und sage dann nochmal Dankeschön und bis nächstes Mal. Tschüss!